Look at me, take a picture, it'll last longer. The mirror on the wall say I'm getting stronger. Ayo, the mirror don't lie. Ayo, the mirror don't lie. Look at me, take a picture, it'll last longer. The mirror on the wall say I'm getting stronger. Ayo, the mirror don't lie. If you want the truth, don't close your eyes. We got our back against the wall, we gotta fight back. I need a theme song, this the right track. I ain't got no cape or no superpowers, just confidence and self-esteem, the world is ours. I believed in me when nobody didn't. This ain't no freestyle, just some facts that's written. Come on, let's hear it for the boy. He bringing pain at the same time, joy. I bob and weave through the crowd, so untouchable. At first they hate, then they loving you. It's a crazy cycle, but I'm going through it. I wish I was lying, that's why I show and prove it. I'm destined to be one of the best to do it. I ain't saying I'm the GOAT, but I'm closer to it. I should get a statue in the front yard. Man, I'm shooting up my stats like a shooting guard. Look at me, take a picture, it'll last longer. The mirror on the wall say I'm getting stronger. Ayo, the mirror don't lie. Ayo, the mirror don't lie. Look at me, take a picture, it'll last longer. The mirror on the wall say I'm getting stronger. Ayo, the mirror don't lie. If you want the truth, don't close your eyes. I'll give it to you in 3D or even play-by-play. I'm your guest announcer, are you here today? Yo, let me get a show of hands if you rockin' with me. Ain't no stopping us now, we bout to bounce quickly. I'm about to start a movement, put your fist up. Everything all black from the wrist up, yeah. Leather gloves, no prints, what? We about to dip, deep cut, yeah. Now bring it back like a boomerang. Who that man, do that thing, coming through like Buddha Bang. Setting booby traps for girls and goofy cats.
Okay, welcome to the live stream. Let me hit the music off here and bring it over. All right, welcome to the live stream. I'm running a little few minutes late. Sorry about that, guys. This is welcome to System Build 22. This is Build It with Brian. We're going to be building a Intel system this time around, and we are building it with also a GPU, which is a 4060 Ti. All of the products, all of the links are down in the description, so if you want to buy any of this stuff, you can buy it online. Those are not supported by ads, so you're welcome to purchase them. They're straight directly from the manufacturer or directly from Newegg, I think, at this point. So I think this is a Newegg build. Let me get the overhead. So we're going to show you what we're going to start with today and what you're going to need. So let me flip over to that. Turn on the camera. There we go. 2. Okay. So what you're going to need to get started is very simple. You're going to basically need your RAM, hard drive, motherboard. You have your processor. You'll need your power supply, and in this build we are also going to be using a graphic card. So we have a Gigabyte 4060 Ti, not the most highest end stuff, but it fits the bill. So what we're going to do is we also have a case too, but the case is off camera because it's a little too big to be shown on camera. That is down below. It is a Fractal 1100 case. We are not using a thermal take this time around. We are using a Fractal. It's a little, still very nice. It's a little bit smaller too, so it fits a little bit better in most businesses. So let's start with what we actually need on here. So we're going to take the power supply and the graphic card off and put that off to the side. And we're going to start with the motherboard. Ooh, there we go. That's a little jiggly. Sorry about that, guys. Let me get this more organized. There we go. Okay. So we're going to start with the motherboard, processor, RAM, everything there. So we're going to open up the motherboard. Comes with obviously cables, motherboard itself. Should be an I/O shield under here. Yeah, there's an I/O shield. I/O shield and a little manual. We're not going to use the manual. We're not going to really need that. We are going to need the box though to put this on top of. I always like to build on top of the box. You can build on top of the table too if you want. But with a graphic card, well, actually with any of this, it's probably best to build on something that's a little bit higher up. So let's go with the motherboard. Let's start taking a look at that. Let me get the garbage out of here. Okay. Put it the right way. Yeah. All right, so to go over a few little things about the motherboard, about where you're going to be placing stuff. Right now, this motherboard has an NVMe socket, so we're going to be using an NVMe drive, which is going to be basically plugged right into here. You're going to have your processor area right here. You're also going to have your 2 sticks of RAM that are going to go into this spot here, this long channel. You also have the processor. You also have your front panel connectors, which are down below. The front panel connectors are labeled. They're just really hard to see, so I'm going to zoom in now because when I put it in the case, you will not be able to see that. And maybe not today either. No, there we go. All right, so they are labeled really small here. Hard drive, front panel connectors. Oh, they're all labeled pretty much what you need to be able to actually install the board and connect it to the case. USB and everything is down here, so you're going to have your USB 3 headers over here, I'm sorry, USB 3 headers over here, and your USB 2 headers are down below. Actually, it's labeled here, sorry, front USB 2. A little hard to see, but when I got the camera, we're like this close, so hopefully you guys can see it. Audio to the left, just for the front panel, and you're going to also use your power and your other power connector up here. This is another fan, yeah, just another system fan connector, if your fan has a system fan. Some do, some don't. All right, let's bring this back down. And focus. There we go, focused. If it's straight, I don't know, hopefully. All right, so we're gonna put the IO shield away for now. That's gonna be for the case. SATA cables we're not gonna use, but best to hold on to them if you end up adding more storage. Let's do the processor first. So what we're putting in is an Intel i5-13400F LGA 1700 socket. So it is 13 gen. I think there's 14 gen out by now, so could go 14 gen if you want, but 13 and 14 gen, there's not really that much of a difference. Let's open up the i5 processor. Let's get that out. You'll need a few tools. You'll need obviously a knife to cut some boxes open. It's blurry unless close. It looks, let me make this bigger. It is, all right, it's not blurry now. Is it better now? It should be better now. Not using instructions that fits well. Not using the instructions that fits well in our family. Yes, don't use the instructions. The instructions are not going to be necessary. You do need instructions with everything. We're not going to use that. We're going to use just a straightforward build stuff. We know how to do this. All right, so let me just get this out. So I'm just getting out basically the CPU fan and cooler. This you're going to put off to the side. We're not going to use that right now. We're going to put that on after we get the processor in. Processor's in its little cubby here. I'll take that out. What you're going to do before you put the processor in, you're going to just lift up the bridge here of the processor handle and just pull that up. You're going to notice that down on this board there is a little arrow down pointing down to the bottom left. This arrow here is indicating which way you're going to put this processor. This processor should match the same arrow that's on the processor, which is this down arrow. Ooh, really hard to see. This little itty bitty arrow in the corner. That corner arrow, actually there it is also, it's on top of the heatsink, IHS. So this is also pointing down to the bottom left. That's going to line up with the bottom left of this. What you also want to do is then double check the socket down here, and you want to make sure all the pins are correctly, there's no broken pins or bent pins. The pins are actually on the motherboard now with this socket. It's an LGA socket. If you have a processor that has pins, you want to check the pins instead of checking the actual cam on the other side. Oh, okay, cool. There's no more blurring. Yeah, it's going to blur a little bit because it's on manual focus. I apologize for that, but that's the only way this camera works, this overhead camera I have. Looking into other options, but right now this is the one I can afford. So let's put this in here, drop it in place. You just put it into the socket. No, that's really, sorry, there's a lot of glare. You just put it into the socket the same direction, making sure those arrows match, and then you're going to basically put down the lever, and it's going to pop off the cover. That's okay. This cover just comes off. You just hold on to that. Hold on to this piece of plastic if, glare from overhead light. But anyway, you just hold on to this piece of plastic. If you want to redo your, if you want to sell your motherboard, if you want to take the processor out and then resell your motherboard, you may want to keep that. But most people just toss that. All right, so put that into place, and you're going to put the heatsink on. This heatsink only goes really one direction, but you should be able to figure it out pretty simply. You're just going to line up the power cable to go more towards where it says CPU fan on the motherboard. It says CPU fan here. You're just going to line this up and then place it over these holes here. This hole, that hole, that hole. And you're just going to place it in. It already has thermal paste, by the way. If you don't have thermal paste, I recommend you put some on. This is actually pretty smudged. Look at that. It came packed like that. I can't believe that. It must have been bushed up in shipping or something. So I'm going to reapply this. Let's just reapply it. I don't have thermal paste over here with me right now, so bear with me for like 2 seconds. Let me reapply that. Put it back to better viewing. You can see here, like, this is just all smudged. That's no good. We're going to take that off and then put proper thermal paste on. Bear with me for 1 second. Let me go grab some thermal paste, and we can do that quickly. Those gloves. Paper towel. And thermal paste. Yep. Hopefully I have enough. All right, if we don't have enough, I'll have to go out to my car and grab some. That would really be horrible. I'll put music back on if we have to do that. Let's clean this off, get the proper amount on there. Do not try to mix thermal pastes. Like, this one is not exactly the same one that comes with the manufacturer, so we don't want to use 2 different types. You always use one type. All right, I'm gonna wear gloves just so I don't get this on my fingers because it's really annoying. I'm just use a piece of paper towel. We're gonna use 99% isopropyl alcohol. I can never say it right, sorry. We use 99% because so there's less water in it. I'm gonna try to get the least amount of water possible in it. Just clean this off. Sorry, I was off camera there for a second. Just get all the junk off of there. It comes off pretty quick. Of course, it makes a mess. Let's try not making a mess. You don't want to get this stuff on your fingers. If you get this stuff on your fingers, it will literally attach to everything, and you'll end up with gray parts all over the place. It's kind of gross. You don't want that. All right, that's nice and cleaned off. We're going to toss that. I'm going to take my gloves off because there's no need for it at this point. Now we're going to reapply thermal paste. You put the thermal paste on actually the processor. You don't put it on here. Usually you put it on the processor and let it spread out. If you want, you can spread it all over the processor, top of the processor, if you feel the need. Oh, my day is horrible. I'm out of thermal paste. I'll have to get it from the car. All right, guys, bear with me for 2 minutes. Gonna put you guys on music for 2 minutes. Sorry, I will be right back. Let me just put the music back on. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So we have some thermal paste. This is Noctua NTH1 3.5 grams of thermal paste. It's just, you can use any thermal paste you want. I prefer Noctua, or CORSAIR is pretty good. Try to stick to name brand, just so you get pretty decent cooling. Luckily, they put so much box for no reason. That's in there. All right, we're packed. All right, new tube. And we're just gonna put a dab of it on here. Let's go back to that area. Get the little cap off. Try to get stuff with the syringe. It's just easier to distribute it, but you can also get this by like a different container, like a tub of container if you really want. I don't know if Noctua sells it that way. This is probably way too much. Everybody's gonna comment about how much paste I use. I use a decent amount compared to most people. I kind of put a little more just to make sure that we have plenty of coverage, so it covers this entire copper piece when it gets pushed down. So at this point, I'm gonna put this away. This one I'm gonna toss in the recycling because it's plastic. Okay, so this should dry also. You should probably also wait for this to dry a little bit. It looks like it's pretty much dry here. So yeah, we should be all right. What was a tongue twister? Oh, the isopropyl alcohol? Yeah, it's a little weird. Is this dry? Let me see if it's dry. Yeah, it's dry. Okay, it's dry. So we're just gonna arrange the power to be up towards the CPU power, and now we have the thermal paste. We're just gonna put that on there. We're just gonna put this straight on and line up with those holes. What you want to do is you want to push down in opposite corners. So you're going to push down on one side, you're going to hear a click, you're going to push it on the other side. Hopefully hear a click. Same thing here, same thing there. And the last one, of course, is giving me a hard time. Oh, maybe it's not turned. And it was turned the wrong way. All right. If you don't hear a click, you want to turn the little posts until they click into place, and then push down all the way. If you want to confirm, flip the board over, and then make sure that these are poking through. And these are poking through, and this one's not poking all the way through, so that's a good idea. Double check it. It's not going to go down, huh? There he goes. Okay. And now that's pushed through. Yep. All right, so now it's all down. At this point, now you can take this fan connector. You want to connect it right into the CPU fan on the motherboard. You're going to open up the RAM sockets because we're going to put RAM in next. So just basically push down the little levers until they're open. Sometimes there's not a second set of clips on this side. That's okay. Just leave it. It's fine. You don't have to push those open. But you'll see that they'll either move or they won't. You just give them a little bit of pressure. If they don't move, then it's probably not a clip. Where's my RAM? RAM. Okay, so RAM. Take the RAM. Open it. This RAM that we're using is DDR4. It is 3200 megahertz. It is perfectly fine for this type of builds. They do have DDR5, but that would be a different motherboard. Intel's 13th and 12th gen also support both DDR4 and DDR5. DDR4 is perfectly fine for this build. If you're more concerned about like higher performance like gaming and stuff, you'll probably want to go DDR5 at this point, just because it is a little bit quicker. You can get faster speeds. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to take off the little plastic piece that's on here. So just peel that off. It's on the logo. Get that off of there. Now what you're going to line up is you're going to see there's a little notch in the middle. We're going to line that notch up with the notch that's on the motherboard and make sure to go the right direction. If you line it up incorrectly, it will not seat properly. It will not push down easily either, so you probably have it the wrong way. Just flip it around. if you can't see it. And then just once it's down, you should hear it click in place. Same thing here, repeat the process for the second stick. If your motherboard has 4 sockets, which this board does not, but if you do, you'll want to populate the ones that you want to open up the manual and make sure that you're getting the proper sockets. We did do a build with 4, so you may want to go reference that video for a little more information, but the short version of it, you really should make sure that you have it in dual channel mode with DDR4. With DDR5, it really doesn't matter too much. I mean, it matters a little bit, but it's not as much as DDR4 does. So, plugged in. That's it for that. So now we're going to just do the hard drive, NVMe. Hopefully open this without too much trouble. This is a crucial 1 terabyte, 5,000 megabytes per second drive. This is, I think, it's a PCIe 4, so it's not bad. I don't know which gen number it is. But it's fast enough for our needs here. Take out the box, don't need the box. All right, just toss this down there for recycling. That out of the way. There. Okay, cleaning off everything. All right, so this is basically it. Basically the size of a stick of a gum, if you want to put it that way. Hard drive also supports 1 whole terabyte, which is not bad. They do make them up, I think, until 4 terabytes right now at the current time. So if you need more space, you can go that way. It also comes with a screw that we are not going to use, so I'm going to put that off. That's what that little jiggling noise is. You get rid of that. You're going to put this into the socket. Basically, you're going to go on like a 45-degree angle into the socket and then down. Right now, this is in the closed position. You want to open this up. If there's a screw, you use the screw to do that, but this is not a screw. This is a pull-out. So you just pull that out of the little plastic piece, and then you put this in. This is toolless, 45-degree angle, and then push straight down over the little stand, and then you want to push that down to lock it in place. So you just push it back in, and now it's locked. It's not going to come up. It should be fine that way. For the motherboard portion, that's basically it. You don't have to do much more than that. Now it should probably be mounted into the case, so we're going to bring it over to the case. You don't want to put the graphic card in until you pretty much have it in the case. If you want to do a bench test, you can do a bench test at this time. I'm not going to do a bench test. We're going to just put it right to the case for time purposes. But I do advise it if it's your first build to do a bench test. A bench test basically means that you won't need to actually put it in the case. You put the power supply on, you connect it, and then you jumper the power button down here. And once you jump, oh, it's over here actually. You jump the power button on this side, and it'll actually allow it to start up. And by jumper, I mean like just close it for a quick second. You would use a screwdriver or something and just tap the 2 little poles together and start it up. We go over that in a different video if you want to go that route. I recommend you just build right into the case sometimes if you don't want to deal with the extra work of dealing with that. So I'm going to put this off to the side. We're going to need the I/O shield in a minute, so we're going to use that. I'm not going to forget it this time. So it's right there in front of me. Anybody took a toll on how many times I've forgotten the I/O shield? I'd like to know, actually, because I have no idea how many times I've forgotten. Probably on camera, probably almost none, but I know definitely off camera, I definitely forgot a lot. So I'm going to get the case over here. Oh, wait. Sorry, it's going to be a little weird looking right now. I got to take it off the sides. Let me get this open. Just using a standard Phillips bit. Nothing very special here. I think it's a Phillips 2 or 1. Probably 2. 2. I think it's 2. I have way too much stuff here. Let me get this out of the way. All right. Okay. Screws. Do not lose the screws to the back of the case. Let me put these in a little thing. It's a little magnetic holder so all the screws don't get lost. I take the sides off really quick. Not very exciting. Let me take the sides off the case, and then we'll go over what's inside the case and everything else. Got to find a safe place to put this so it doesn't fall. There we go. All right. inside the case, which is upside down. Oh, turn right side up. Get this out of the way. All right. It's a very simple design case. This is a Fractal 1100. Fractal 1100 is just basically kind of more business looking. It's not very gamerish. Everything that comes in this case should be already like tied down in this little box. They usually include a little utility box and stuff. These wire ties, do not use these. Take this out, throw these things out. These are just horrible for inside a case. They're metal, and if they get shrouded up, you can end up with problems. So just toss them. Use plastic ones. The reason why we want to use plastic ones is because if the metal piece lands on the motherboard wrong, you know, you saved what? A cent, not even. You know, I think we buy a whole bunch of those plastic ties for like 100 for like $1. So, you know, something like that. Even more than that, I think. So let's just take the plastic out. All right. You're gonna see that we have cables. These are the front panel cables. I'm gonna show them right now, but usually I just tuck them away during the builds. I'll just separate the cables out a little bit. I have a mess like usual. Oh, this is all messed up. All right, there we go. All right, so short version, they have labels on them. Ooh, can't see that. Labels. Well, they're labeled HDD, LED. Any LED is going to have plus and negative. Those are important. They have to match up to the motherboard the same way. If they're an LED, if it's a switch or a button or something, that's not going to matter. You can do it either direction, doesn't make a difference. But if it's LED, you're going to see like power LED has positive and negative. You can probably see it a little bit. There we go. Positive, negative. Sorry, they're upside down. But the case is upside down a little bit. So power switch, you'll notice there is no glare. There's no power. There we go. Power switch basically has no positive or negative. It's not needed for that. This one is your USB 3.0. If you notice, it looks different than all other ones. It only has a notch. It'll only go in one direction. You shouldn't have to force it. It should just pop right in. Same thing with HD audio. And there's also another one probably for USB 2.0, which is right here, USB 2.0, and it is blocked out with one pin missing. That's the one that would be on that block. Take these, move this out of the way. Just tuck this somewhere so it's just out of the way. We don't need this sitting in front of us here. The box that comes with it, all the nice little accessories, it will be labeled Core 1100, of course. Open that. In here should be all the screws, some wire ties that you should use. So all of these screws, which I'm going to take out and show in a second, and these little wire ties, these are a little too small for me. Wow, that is like really small. Fractal, what, really? We couldn't afford a little bit better wire ties here. All right, I'm not going to complain. They're free, so we're not going to use those. We're going to use the bigger ones. I have no patience for that. All right. Wire, basically all the little screws, nuts, bolts, all that lovely, wonderful stuff is in here. Going to put that there for a sec. Stick these out. They're not labeled. The bag's not labeled, but that's okay. Just show what it is. This is basically the motherboard standoffs. These will be screwed down to the back plate of the back plate of the case. It'll be put in a certain direction. I'm just going to show all the screws first, and then we'll kind of show putting the motherboard in and stuff. This is just a security latch thing. Don't put this on. It's just this will just cut up your hands later, unless there's a reason for it, but in my case, we're not doing that. So we're just going to take these, put them onto here, so we don't lose them. Same thing here, we're going to open up this, and I'm just going to put this directly onto here, because these are a little hard to get out. We'll take a few out at a time. Let's see. Screw-wise, I'm pretty sure these are the motherboard screws. So this should be the motherboard screw. Ooh, you can hardly see that, but this is really small. It's got a little bit of a thicker thicker screw area for the, but they're all mechanical. They should be mechanical. They should fit directly into a standoff. If you want to test it, you could just test that before you put the motherboard in to make sure you get the right screws, which we do. So that's the one we're going to use. Everything else, not going to really use. Everything else is for, these are for hard drives, just to give you an example. These are standoffs used for hard drives. That will fit for this cage here, over here on this side. Sorry, that's blurry. I'm not going to switch that out right now, but this cage is all for hard drives. So we're not using that because we don't have any extra hard drives. We're just using the one that's on the board, so there's no need for that. So next step, let's bring this down a little bit. There we go. Let's clear this out. Okay. While working, you're going to see there's a bunch of screw holes here. This case, there's not many options. In fact, there's pretty much only one option, which is down here is the two. Can't see that. Down here, there's only a 2 option here. That's the only one that's a little weird. But you'll look at your motherboard, and you'll just line up. Let me put this down. We're not putting this down all the way in yet. But you'll line up here, and you'll just match up all the screw holes to each of the ones that are on the bottom of the case. So I'm going to put this back for a second. Let me put in all the screws. If this is your first time building, what you'll want to do is count how many you've screwed down. Make sure that you match how many screws that you've actually screwed down through the motherboard. You don't want a standoff that's going to sit behind the motherboard. That's not actually screwed into it. Why? Because if you do that, then you're going to end up with a short that's on the system that will short out the board, and you will not have a really good day. So let's not try to do that, and we'll avoid that at all costs. Now, I had an iFixit kit here. Does this have a, yeah, it does, okay. So on an iFixit kit, they have a few different options here. I usually like to use these barrel ones, or not barrel ones, bolt ones, or whatever you want to call it, nut drivers. That will basically fit in over this and screw it down, which is too big for that one. Let me fit this one. That's perfect. All right. I like to tighten this down a little bit because obviously tightening it by hand is probably not the best idea. If you don't have an iFixit kit or whatever, that's okay. Just use a pair of pliers. You can use a pair of pliers to tighten this down. Just be careful not to scratch the case. I'm just doing this because I already have it here and it's a little easier to feed in. Let's check the comments. I need my glasses for my glasses. That's a problem. Then maybe you just need a better prescription. That holder is cute. Which holder? Oh, you mean this holder? You mean the iFixit holder? Yeah, that's pretty nice. Or you're talking about the screw holder, like the magnetic tray. Magnetic tray is pretty good too. I haven't lost anything recently. All right. So you're just repeating the steps all the way through here for all the standoffs. Whoops. This one is further up. So there's this one. I'm looking at the motherboard at the same time, so that's off screen. I don't really have a lot of room here, so I apologize. But I'm just looking at the motherboard to get you an idea of what's going on, of which one I should be putting on. The magnetic one. Oh, okay. So the magnetic one, yeah, that's that little circular metal parts tray. That's what they labeled it, parts tray. Yeah, we use those in the field too. They make actually bigger ones of those, which I was actually thinking about getting a bigger one for when I'm on site, because I keep losing the small ones. I've actually lost like 2 or 3 of those. Don't tell anybody that I lost 2 or 3 of those. The boss is not supposed to lose things, but he does. All right, let's make sure they're all tight. And now what you're going to do is you're not going to be like me and you're not going to forget the stupid I/O shield. Because because I'm not forgetting it this time. I am putting it in place. Sorry about the plastic here. There we go. Okay. The dreaded I/O shield. All right, I don't know how many fingers I've lost to these stupid things, so just be careful with cutting your fingers on this. These are very sharp. Luckily, this one doesn't have any push-up panel pieces or anything, so we're okay. It does also label like what everything is, USB, Ethernet, all that stuff. There's only really one way of putting this, well, there's two ways of putting this in. There's the wrong way and the right way. So basically the right way is you're gonna have the ports facing upwards, the lettering facing upwards. If you put it in the other way, the lettering will be facing downwards and you got it the wrong way. So you're gonna try again. But it also won't fit. So just gonna put it in the little square, well, rectangular area here. It should push in pretty easily. Careful your fingers. If you don't want to lose any fingers or don't want any cuts or anything, then you can wear gloves or something. Actually, before we even do that, before we put the motherboard in, I'm gonna, since this case is a little small, I'm gonna do the power supply that goes up here. So yeah, let's do that first, because if I put the motherboard in, I'm gonna have a hard time getting that power supply in. So we're gonna just save ourselves some headache and open this up. All right. Yeah, I think the next stream, we're gonna actually open up everything ahead of time, so you guys don't have to hear me like ripping plastic. I feel like, unless you guys like hearing ripping plastic, I think that might be easier. It'd be easier for me. All right. What comes in the box? You get a power supply cord, you're gonna put that off to the side. That obviously is given to whoever you're building it for or building it yourself. Some more cable ties, which are awesome. These are actually good cable ties, so we'll leave those off to the side. And manual, we don't need that manual. Get rid of that. Little bit of treats. No, it's silicone packets, don't eat that. This is a modular power supply. So all the cables have come in the modular power supply. We're gonna put that off to the side, we're gonna need that. And we're gonna need the power supply itself, which has the power cord attached for the motherboard. Don't need the box. Gonna open this. You know, if anybody tells on me that I'm losing stuff, I'm gonna hear about it, and that's gonna be bad. So, modular power supply, what does this mean? It basically means none of the cables are plugged in for the power supply. You're gonna plug in the ones that you need. In this case, the only thing we're really gonna need is the one for the CPU, which is labeled PCIe CPU. And there's also one labeled, where are you? PCIe, also CPU. We're gonna put those two in because we have one that's gonna be used for the graphic card and one that's gonna be used for the actual motherboard. So we're gonna put those in before we actually put this in place. So I'm just gonna take, actually no, I'm just gonna leave this down here. Don't do that probably. All right, so this is a Corsair CX750M. Again, all the products should be in the description area. So if you want to buy any of this stuff, feel free. All right. Again, they're not sponsored, so you can buy it from anywhere. You don't have to buy it from the links below. It's just convenient. So, all right. Oh, lost one. All right. Lots of cables. All right. So they're all labeled pretty much. There's one labeled PCIe. We're going to need that one for the graphic card, which should be only one. We're going to put this off to the side for now. CPU. I think this is the only one that says CPU, yeah. So the CPU one, that's the one that we're going to use. This has 8 pins. That's going to go to the motherboard. The other portion goes to the power supply. We're going to put that off to the side. That's the one we're going to need. Now these, we're not going to need these right now, but do not lose these. These are made for your power supply. You cannot mix and match these. You must have all of the same cables. So don't lose them. Pretty much is the answer. I'm going to put these at the bottom of the case or attach them in here when I'm done, so we don't end up losing those for the customer. Then we have them if we need to add something later on. So we're going to go back to the blurry here. There we go. All right, so the power supply itself has a fan. This fan is going to be facing down into the case. And we're gonna lay that right up here into the top part of the case. We are not gonna forget to plug in the freaking cables that I literally just took out 2 seconds ago. Why didn't anybody remind me? I swear, I think I'm going nuts. You guys should remind me if I'm missing stuff. Like, why have I just totally screwed this up? Look at this, it's bad. All right, so this is a CPU. So I'm just gonna plug it into the one. There we go. So just plug it into the one that says CPU PCIe, that's fine. And then we're gonna plug the other one into the other one on top. And let me get that cable. Again, these twist ties, just throw them out. Still blurry. I know, guys, the blurry is gonna happen a little bit. I apologize. I'm gonna try to keep it in focus for what I can. I will stop and slow down if I need to, but this is PCI Express CPU. That is going to be plugged into here. My hand has to get in the way to plug it in. Okay, all right. Okay. Now, just to recap, because it was a little blurry between all that. You'll see that it's plugged into PCIe CPU, PCIe CPU. It's the same ones that are labeled here. You can mix match these here. That's not a big deal because it's the same amount of power that's going between these two. So it's not a big deal. It's just different end connectors that matter when you go to plug them in on the actual motherboard. So this one goes to the motherboard. This one goes, the one that says PCIe. This one goes to your graphic card. So just make sure to separate them out. Don't mix them up. When you go to plug them in, that's why they're labeled that way on the ends that you have to plug into. I'm just gonna take off the thing for the power adapter here, power cord. Stupid cable tie, come on. Oh man, what do they do here? They twisted this both ways. Okay, that's stupid. All right, take it off. Yeah, okay, good. So take all the cables, just kind of lay them up out of the way as you push down. Let me put this into here. Let me switch this up. There we go. So now when you put this down, you just want to take these cables, kind of tuck them out of your way. Push this up into its spot. There we go. And you're going to put 4 screws in. So you're going to put 4 screws in over here on the back plate. I'm not going to show the back plate because it's hard to turn, but they only fit one way. So you really can't screw that up. Screws that we're going to be using for the back, which I lied, we are going to use 4 more of these. We're going to use these little itty bitty ones. A little bit thicker than the other one. Oh man. There we, no, I'm going to have to just, let's get closer here. And then, oh yeah, there you go. So this, still a small screw, but it is a machine screw. It is more of like a hex kind of top piece there, but it does have Phillips as well. And that's the 4 one. We're going to use 4 of those, so we're just going to grab 4. If I can find 4, 2. 3. Oh, maybe it came with the power supply. Ah, you know what? They came with the power supply. Let's use the ones that came with the power supply. Probably the better idea to use. But anyway, let me just... that. So here, cable ties. We're going to need these, so set these aside. It's not up to that yet. Came with 4 screws. Same screws I just showed you for the second ago, and it does say for PSU, so you know that Brian should read. There we go. Okay, 4 of those. I'm just going to screw them into the back here. Maybe I can show it. There we go. All right, so just basically going to screw in from the back part of the case. This is the back part of the case, by the way. And we're going to find and line it up. They should only line up to the 4 holes that are back here. That's it. Sometimes a little tight to get in there, but put all 4 in. case a little bit. Come on. I think I need more battery juice. All right. There we go. There we go, that's better. All right. All right, all screwed in. Shouldn't move at this point. Give it a little jiggle. It's fine. All right, we're ready to put the motherboard in. We're going to go back to those screws that I showed before, which are the motherboard screws. So we're just going to use those and put the board in place. Just tuck all the cables out of the way just so you can get the board in a little easier. Let's put this forward and let me change the focus a little bit. So it's more down to the board. There we go. Kinda. No. There we go. You know, I should make this bigger. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. So, get the board here. What you're going to do is you're going to take the board, you're going to put it on an angle and then down. And when you put it down at an angle, you're going to make sure to get the cables out of the way because the cables are going to get in your way no matter what. This is the hardest part, is to get this down into the case without too many things getting in your way. Now make sure the board goes all the way down, so you're going to have to get all these cables up and out of the way of it touching the bottom. There we go. This case is a little tighter than normally. What we usually do is if we do an H17 case from Thermaltake, that case is a little bigger if you want something a little more with room and you want two separate, compartments and stuff like that. You don't have to go that route. Some people need a little smaller case. This one actually fits most desks. That's why we usually choose this one. But you can also go with a little bit bigger if you have the room. What you're going to also do is you're going to line up and you're going to double check the I/O shield on this side to make sure all the ports are visible. So all ports on this side should be visible, which I'm going to do really quickly. And all of them are visible, so we're good. I'm going to push it a little bit to make sure it lines up with all the standoffs that are at the bottom. You should be able to see the gold standoff piece, and we're going to screw everything in using the motherboard screws that we had before. One screw, two. These things are so small. And they're all black too, this does not help. Anybody that's a new builder, you're gonna be like, what screw is that? But I assure you, if you put the screw in correctly, if you're also a new builder, don't use an electric screwdriver. Just use a hand screwdriver. And the reason why I say that is so that you can feel if you're stripping the screw or not. You don't want to strip screws, you want to make sure that they're put in place. If you decide to use an electric screwdriver, you want to make sure that you have this capped at 17, for the amount of torque that it's going to give. You don't want to over torque any of the screws. I have it to 17. Actually, if you're a new builder, you might want to go down to 13, just so you don't end up making a mistake, because it also slows. You might also want to switch this to low, instead of high speed. Just a little tip: you don't want to end up stripping screws, because when you strip screws, they're not going to be able to get more parts. They do give you some extra, but they're not going to give you a lot. So best to use just a regular screwdriver if you're just starting out, But since I've built a billion of these things at this point, I really feel like using a regular, screwdriver, I'd just kill myself with all that twisting. So. All right, down here, and of course I missed. Okay, last one I think. Oh no, last two. Check that one. Yeah, it was a little bit off. Is that down? Yeah, it's down. All right. Make sure the screws are always obviously all the way down. You don't want to short the board. Most of the new motherboards kind of protect against that with the little pads that they have there. It does happen though. If it is loose, you could have a problem. or you'll have a random, like a random weird problem, which is even worse than the bug. So yeah, you don't want that to happen. So again, this is the PCI Express one. We're going to leave that off to the side because we didn't put the graphic card in yet. We're going to grab the ones that we need to put on. Get off to the side. Always keep reorganizing your cables. If they're wrong, you're going to have a harder time putting them in place, and then you're going to have more of a hard time putting them, actually tying them up. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the ones for the CPU first and the motherboard itself. So the motherboard we got here, this is the largest one, which is going to plug from here directly into here. It has a little clip on it. That little clip will go against the side that basically has the little notch. This notch is a little hard to see, but it is there. You'll hear it click when you put it in place. It's a very small click. I'm not sure if you guys hear that on the microphone, but it is a very small click. Again, before you put anything into the motherboard, double check to make sure it says CPU. That is the one that you want to plug in up here, which is your A prong? Yeah, A plug. So just plug that straight into the board. Again, there's a clip on it. It should face the direction of the little area. It should make a click noise when it goes in place. Tuck the other cables out of the way. Now we're going to do front panel cables before I put the graphic card. Graphic card is usually last. You don't want to do the graphic card until last because it's going to block all of this stuff on below and you're going to have a hard time reaching it. Now if you have a real, down here below. So if you have a really tight case like this, you'll want to make sure that you're more kind of, you know, more planned out of which one parts you want to plug in first. Because if you don't, then you're going to end up undoing most of the work that you just did. So, let's get all the cables out. I explained this just before. The same cables are here. I'm just going to take these, reorganize them a little bit because I just realized they are not organized all the way at the bottom. There we go. So I'm going to do the motherboard. I'm going to do the motherboard connectors first, which is the front panel connectors. So I'm going to find the ones that are HDD LED. I'm going to plug it in, match it to the ones that are down below. They were labeled before. I can't show it because you require like fully zooming in over here, and there's really no way to do that. There is no reset button. No reset button, so that makes my life easier. Power light. I'm just going to call out what I'm putting in. Any of the LEDs or lights need to have it positive, negative. The switch does not. Like power switch doesn't need to be that way. And we don't have a reset switch, which is awesome, so I don't have to waste my time with that. Rarely ever use it anyway. Now I'm going to plug in the rest of this stuff. We're going to plug in the USB 3.0 header, which is the blue connector. That's going to go down to the blue connector on the, well, that's not blue, but it's a USB 3.2 on the board. Line it up the same direction with the notch, and you're going to push it into the board. This one you should hear a little click or a little bit of feedback letting you know that it's plugged in. I'm going to do USB 2.0 first. I'm just going to check which way it goes. So we're going to line up the notch and plug it straight in. Same thing with audio. There's a notch. You're just going to line it up with the one that is missing and plug it straight in. That's all done. This case has a fan in the front. Double check if you have a fan in the front. If you do, or a fan in the rear, you'll want to plug that fan in now before you go any further. And yeah, system fan 2 is down here, right by all the plugins. So it's only a 4-pin connector. It should only go one way. So if you're forcing it, you're doing it wrong. Flip it over and do it right. So, and of course, let's have a twist tie on it. You know what? I'm going to take this out so you guys can see what I'm doing because you can't see what I'm doing. I'll take this out. This is just a drive bay. You know, if you want to connect external drives, like if you have a 2.5 inch or a 3.5 inch drive, you can put it here. I don't know anybody that's using spinning rust anymore. 3.5 inch drives are really not being used very often unless you're doing like a NAS server or something. That comes out, by the way, if you want to make this work a little easier, you should have probably took this out from the beginning. It might have made it a little easier to get down here, but side note. Usually I don't take it out because you know, there's no need to. But I'm doing a demonstration here. I have to get this cable here. It has to be plugged down to here. So to get that undone and show it all on the camera, you'll just be looking at black. So let me just take that out of the way. But normally I just leave it in, you know, because one less thing I have to do. That's all right. Anyway, take the cable out, unravel it, and you'll plug it into System Fan 2, which is at the bottom. You plug it into the one that's close. It doesn't have to be System Fan 2. If it says System Fan 1, it doesn't matter. It's just, as long as you don't plug it into the one that says CPU. The one from CPU should be plugged into the actual CPU fan, or the pump on the CPU fan if you're doing water cooling, all right? That's a whole other topic. So let's go over here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna just tie all this lovely junk up before I close it up. And we start to do almost a pre-test where we have to do a graphic card also. Just gonna tie everything together. You wanna try to stick to mostly lines when you go to tie stuff together, so make sure you put everything in line so it makes it easier to service later, is pretty much my answer to that. Now you can ravel up a little more of this cable. Yeah, this cable's going this way, so we'll just keep tying. Don't be afraid to use a lot of zip ties. It's okay. Just make sure you don't put too much tension on one side of the wire, or both sides of the wire, pretty much. Don't put too much tension is pretty much the answer, so just keep it simple. All right, that's tied down this way. That stops about there. So I'm just gonna continue tying from here. Again, not too much tension because it'll probably pull, if you end up pulling cables out, then you kind of defeat the purpose of doing this, you know, it's just to keep it from moving around and stuff. All right, once that's done, you're gonna clip all this off with my clipper. Where's my clipper? Cutter, sorry. Wire cutter. So you're just gonna go along. You're just going to cut all these little tails off. Be careful of your fingers, of course. Be careful of the wire, more importantly. You know, it's more important than your finger. So, cut those. Plastic tails, you just put to recycling, toss it out. These cables you're going to just want to push down a little bit at the bottom of the case just to kind of keep it out of the way, because now we're going to put a graphic card in and we're going to be consuming this space like right here. This cable may need to be cut back again. I may have to cut this back, cut this piece off and cut it back if it doesn't fit, but we'll see. But we'll try it first. Graphic card's going to go right here in this slot here. So we're going to take the graphic card out. If I can reach it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now this is an NVIDIA 4060 Ti. 4060 Ti? 4060 Ti, yep. This does not use the new, I say new NVIDIA connector, but I think it was made by Intel. But anyway, that new power connector, which we all hate. So we try to avoid that one. If you're going with a higher end graphic card, you have no other choice but to use it, but yeah, be careful of fires, I guess. So anyway, this you want to plug into here. So it's going to take up 2 slots. And by how I know that is not just because I looked it up. It's because the board actually has 2 spots to take up. So we're going to show the front part here. If you're not sure, always look at the card. So the card here has 2 little screw holes there and there. So this will actually use 2 plates. The height is a little bit higher than normal. These are, actually I shouldn't say normal. This is about the height nowadays of the CPU and the cooler fan. I mean, not CPU fan, I'm sorry, the GPU fan and the little bit of extra room it needs for airflow. This is normal. Most cases already accommodate for this, that there's not really much in the way over here. So you should be able to mount this with no issue. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the plates out for the back first, so I'm gonna unscrew those. If you're unsure which ones that is, just line it up before you put it into the socket and just see which ones you need to take out. If you're really unsure, just take them all out. and then put them back later after you put the card in, if you don't want to mess around with it. These you can either toss or hold on to. It's a souvenir. There we go. Screws you're going to use, so just put the screws off to the side. Now before you put the graphic card in, they've done this stupid thing, which is this plastic cover, which is amazing for protection, but annoying for builders that are first building and not realizing they have to take this off. So be sure to take this off, that off to the side. I also like to take out all the little plastic pieces here that are in the ports. These are just port covers. You could put them back if you're worried about dust or something. You can put them back. I'm not really concerned. We'll put them back later. I just don't want them in my way when I gotta put it in the socket. So we're gonna line this up with the socket. We're gonna put it straight down. And it is blurry. There we go. Straight down, you're gonna line it up with that socket right there. So you see where the card is hovering over. That's where it's going into. And I'm gonna do this blindfolded, which is not the best way to do it. No, I am not doing that the right way. There we go. After it's lined up in the socket, you can give it a little push. It should click. You heard it, a little click. That little plastic piece here is very important. That should latch onto the card. If it didn't latch onto the card, then you probably didn't put it in the socket correctly. If you need to take this card out, do not take it out until you have pushed down this little piece so that it actually unlocks the card. It should bring the card up and out of the socket. So I'm going to give you a little preview here. To unlock the card, you just push it and you see like the back part of the card lifted up a little bit. That's what it's supposed to do. If it's not in that position, in the out position, you will not be able to take the card out. You will actually ruin the socket. If you go to try to pull it, it's going to pull the whole motherboard because it literally is locked into the board. So just a little word of advice. Be sure to, if you have to take it out, make sure to push that little pin, little plastic piece, the lock. Just screw this in, make sure it's tight. Again, screw into both holes. Do not drop the screw. All right. Yeah, screwed in. Should be nice in place. Now we're going to connect the power adapter here. The other way. There we go. I'm going to connect this power adapter. Make sure you have an 8 plug pin, and you're going to go and look for that for the one that we put on the board. It should say PCIe. Why is there another one? That says CPU. There was 2 CPUs. Okay, I'm going to make sure and take one of those out. Anyway, PCI Express should say PCIe. And since this is an 8-pin, right here, this is only showing a 6-pin plus 2. So these two have to be pushed over. Sometimes they lock, sometimes they don't. These on this board, this power supply do not lock, so you just have to hold it in place. There's a little ridge that's right here that holds that in place. And you're going to want to line it up with the plug. And you want to plug it in the correct direction, not like what I just did. There we go. Make sure it's the right way, push it down into the socket. But again, there's a clip on it, so the clip goes to where the ridge is on the graphic card. And don't try to do this reverse-handed. There we go. All right, I do not. There we go, I got it the right way. It lined up. You shouldn't have to fight it. It should just go straight in. That's why I'm being a little more patient with it. I don't want to have to push hard. Make sure I got it the right way. I do. This thing, I wish there was a clip on here to hold these together, but they're not holding together. So I'm going to have to push a little harder for the... There we go, got it. Okay, so after it's lined up, it should just slide straight in, and you should hear it click, which it is. The little clip goes over that ridge, and that's it. Now you want to tuck these cables out of the way a little bit. What I do is I tie this cable up a little, so it's tied back, the other piece that we're not using. Now if you have a graphic card that requires more power than this, there is another connector that you can use right off of there. That'll give it a little more power if it needs it. This card does not need that, so just cut this off. Careful your fingers. All right. This one's up in the air all over the place. I'm just gonna tuck that back into the 5 1/4 inch plate that we're not using. That's the perfect spot for that. Just push all the cables back up out of the way so they're just not gonna get tangled in a fan or something. You don't want that to happen, which would be really bad. Push that down. I don't know why we have 2 CPUs. Let's see. Oh, it came with one. Didn't need this. All right, so we're going to take off the other one that I plugged in that we don't need. There's another CPU one. That's, I guess, if your motherboard requires more power, you're going to have 2 sets of those. We don't need 2 sets. We're just going to take we'll take more cables out as we go. Now, push this back, push it down, push all the cabling out of the way so you don't end up with a cabling mess. I'm going to also take the CPU fan and push it down in between the RAM here, just so it's tucked out of the way and not up in the mess. All the rest of the mess goes up there. Now, all the extra cables that I have for this unit are going to get zip tied and then zip tied up here. I'm not going to do that right now because we're not closing it up anyway. We're going to start doing a boot test because at this point, we're ready for booting. That's all there is to building a machine right now, so let's just boot it up and let's see where we can go from there. Let me take this off of here. I'm going to reorganize the desk a little bit so it's not so messy. We have enough cable ties, a bit more. These plastic ones, that over here. Always clean up your desk space just a little bit while you work. I'm not going to go too crazy here because honestly I'm on film, but you should probably clean up before you actually plug everything in. So we're going to plug everything in. Let's do that. We have to update the BIOS. I have to download the BIOS because I forgot to download the BIOS. So we're going to do that also live. Why not? Sorry, you're not going to see much right now until I get to the connectors. Actually, no, maybe I can show the connectors a little bit without totally screwing everything up. All the connectors on the back are going to get plugged in. So power, keyboard, mouse, and video you're going to plug into obviously to the graphic card. That's where you're going to plug everything into. You're not going to see much right now, so let me just switch you guys over to this for a sec. Bear with me for a minute. I'm just going to plug everything in. If I can get the plug in. There we go. Yeah, I can't see. All right, so keyboard, mouse. Actually, we can go back to overhead. Yeah. All right, so we also need a keyboard and mouse. I'm just going to hook up a simple keyboard and mouse that we normally use for the studio area. That over here. All right. Oop. All right, keyboard. So put the keyboard on. No, the keyboard's not going on top. That's going to be a bad idea. All right, let me move everything around again. Sorry guys, bear with me for 2 minutes. I usually like to go quicker than this, but a little bit of tight space here. Where's my power cord? Power cord? I know you're up here. Power cord. Power cord. It's not the power cord. Did I lose it? No. It's under the keyboard. Of course. Where else would the power cord be? Sorry about the cable mess, guys. I really got to get like cable ties and tie up my own cables. It's a mess. All right, keyboard, mouse, and we're ready to go. And we'll be booting in 2 seconds. Keyboard usually gets plugged into the USB 2.0 connection unless the keyboard requires 3.0. Most of the time it doesn't. So try to save your 3.0 ports for like, you know, data drives and stuff like that. Something that needs fast speed, fast communication, printers, whatever. All right, plug that in. All right. I do not connect the Ethernet cable at this point in time because we're going to be loading Windows 11 and I don't want to do a Windows Microsoft account. I hate Microsoft accounts, so I'm not going to do that. We're gonna flip this on, but we're gonna do the BIOS. So let's make sure it boots first, okay? So let's go over to camera 4 and flip this on. Flip the power, yeah. Something is rattling a little bit. All right, power light's going. Hopefully I got the right camera. There we go. Okay, so once it boots, you're in the BIOS. So the BIOS, I want to make sure it works first, but it always boots into easy mode. I usually switch it into advanced mode because it's a little easier to find everything I need. But before we get too far with the BIOS, we're gonna have to download the current BIOS. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip over to my main computer here. And I'm gonna put myself in a corner. Here we go. So you guys don't think I'm alone here. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna download the newest BIOS because I forgot to do it. And why not do it now, right? The best time to do it. So how we're gonna get a BIOS, because I don't usually show how to get a BIOS usually on all the streams, but it's something so easy to do as long as you get the right keyboard in front of you. It's not that hard. So we get a mouse, there we go. Okay, so first step, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna move this over here so you can see what we're doing. All right, so you can go to Google, if you spell it right. You search for the BIOS with the motherboard. So we're gonna be, the motherboard is not over here, there it is, okay. Motherboard is a GIGABYTE, right? I can't spell today, holy crap. Holy GIGABYTE H610 MS2H V2, wow, DDR4. That is a mouthful. All right. Make sure that you're on the GIGABYTE website. Don't click on weird links. Make sure that you're finding what actually is from the manufacturer. We're going to go do that. Revision 1. Going to support. You're going to go down to BIOS. You're going to get the newest one. In this case, it's F29. Now, if your motherboard doesn't support, if your motherboard may be like really old, then you may want to read the description area and see if there's some other BIOS that you need to update to. In this case, we're just going to download F29, so we can download that. It's going to open up a zip file, if I can find it on my other screen. There we go. And you're going to have this F29 file, which is really all you really need. All the rest of this stuff is if you want to boot off a USB flash disk, which we're not going to do that. So we're just going to boot right into the Easy Flash utility. And to do that, I already have a USB flash drive plugged in. So this has Windows 11 on it. We're just going to take this, drag it over to the main folder path, and it pops up there. It's ready for flashing. I'm also going to download the drivers right now because I forgot to download drivers, so we're going to do that too. So let's go to drivers, and since we're already here, we're going to download audio. Wait a minute. Is that audio? Okay. I'm going to download, yeah, audio. And you'll repeat the steps a few times. So you can just cut this, cut that, paste it. And same thing. Next one. Chipset. Dynamic tuning technology. All right, that's a new driver, but we'll download it. That's probably what needs to be there. GNA scoring accelerator. I don't know if we need that. Serial I/O controller. Yes. I don't need to score the GPU. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's not even using that GPU. Intel management, firmware engine, yes. If you're unsure, you can download them all and install it. It'll definitely tell you which ones you do or do not need. Cut this. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I don't think we need the fingers crossed to make it work. We hope not. Hit event filter. Yeah, why not? Thrill me. There we go. Okay, cut that. All right, next. INF, firmware management, we already did that. Serial I/O. Sometimes they repeat because there's different versions. Just get the ones. Don't download multiple versions of the same thing. Just the first one, the newest. LAN driver. Okay. We're not doing any RAID drivers, so it shouldn't require that. We're also not doing any VGA drivers because we have a built-in graphic. We don't have a built-in graphic card. We're using a dedicated GPU, so we're not going to use that. That's it. That's all we need for that. So we're just going to take this, close this all up, and I'm going to take it off the machine, and we're going to plug it into the new machine. If I get to see what I'm doing. I always recommend plugging it into the back of the of the machine, just so we have something plugged in. We're gonna go, you know, you don't want to plug it into any of the front ports, just in case the front ports don't work. You don't want to have to do that. Let's not mess with that. So what we're gonna do from here is, do I on the machine? No, it's busted. All right, we're gonna reboot. Oh, I'm on the wrong computer. Ah, that would help. Wrong keyboard and mouse. That's what happens when you have too many keyboards and mice. All right, let's do this. All right. So to start with, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Easy Flash utility. I don't know where it is on this. Is it down here? It says QFlash. Okay, so this is the easy access menu where they put it here, so that's cool. That's cool. So let's hit QFlash. We're going to update the BIOS. We're going to choose the BIOS file that we just selected, that we just downloaded, which was F29. Next, we're going to update the BIOS. Yes. Let it do its thing. It's going to press the start. Okay, in order to make this complete, system is going to shut down. QFlash will then restart. This is normal. Let it do its thing. It's going to reboot. It's going to do some funny stuff, like the fans are going to ramp high and the fans are going to go back down. This is all normal. So just leave it go. Let it do its thing. It's going to verify the file. It's going to update the BIOS. Any day now. When you're updating a BIOS, make sure that you're plugged into a battery or something that, you know, something secure. You don't want to do this during like a lightning storm or something. That's a bad idea. You know, you don't want to brick the motherboard. Do not push the power button. Do not do anything. You want to basically make sure that this goes through 100%. So you want to sit on it until it finally finishes. Don't touch the keyboard. Don't touch the mouse. You know, it's like a car wash. You just keep your hands off of everything. Just enjoy the car wash. You know, same thing. Enjoy the progress bar. Let it go. I can't see chat. Sorry, guys. I gotta really move this stuff around. Probably shouldn't be moving anything. Okay. So update the BIOS. After the BIOS is updated, it's going to reset. So it's going to reboot. It's also going to reboot probably what's it called? The encryption key. So when it does do that, it may ask you to go back into the BIOS. I'm going to hit the delete key just to make sure that we go into the BIOS. I don't want to boot off that flash drive because I want to set up some more settings on the BIOS before we go forward. Now, the memory that I have installed, we have XMP. So we're going to turn that on, and that's right down here. Just going to disable to profile 1. Now, does it show the proper size? No. And this is why I hate this easy mode, because this doesn't tell you jack about what speed. That's not the proper speed. It should be 3200, not 2133. So something's wrong. So I'm going to go to advanced mode. And then when I go to advanced mode, you'll see here, it says extreme memory profile, profile 1, DDR4, 3200. So now it's showing the correct speed. Make sure it shows the correct speed. Don't go with the easy mode. Easy mode on most BIOSes are kind of like still in beta and it doesn't really work right. So let's try to stay away from that. Go to advanced, get the right thing. I'm going to check the advanced settings, but it should be fine. If you want to change any of this stuff, like virtualization doesn't really need to be on for this system, but I'm going to leave it on anyway just in case they want to change something later. If they want to add virtualization, they can without having to go back into the BIOS. I'm going to go back over. We're not going to really tweak anything. Let me take myself off here so I can see. We want to make sure under system info, you want to make sure that the new BIOS has been applied, which it says F29 right here. And it has the BIOS date and all that stuff. Make sure the processor is correct, which it is, 13400F. Make sure the frequency, everything else is correct. I mean, you know, just do a quick test. You don't have to do the date and time because the date and time is going to reset when you go into Windows 11 anyway, so just leave it, it's fine. Boot, we're going to boot off of the Samsung drive, which is fine, our Samsung flash drive, which I have plugged in. Fast boot, no, just change also Windows 10 features. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. This is really not that big of a deal. CSM support, no. Also, what we want to turn on is resizable bar if it is available. It's in different spots on every BIOS. So you want resizable bar on if you have a graphic card, especially if you have an Intel graphic card. That definitely gives you more advanced features. I say advanced, but it's just better. Faster timings, faster speed. That's memory. It was on the fast one, wasn't it? Powerful. Bear with me. TPM always has to be turned on for Windows 11, so make sure that's always on. It should be on when you upgrade the BIOS anyway, but just in case. You want to also, with Intel, you also have to make sure Intel Platform Trust technology is on, so PTT has to be enabled. If that's not enabled, you will not be able to load Windows 11 correctly. Platform power. It's already on, so, you know, we're getting lucky here. Oh, this other thing, this App Center download and install configuration. They call this thing different on every board. Turn this garbage off. This will just prompt a screen every time you go into Windows 11 to install their stupid utility. That is just slows your whole machine down and it's a waste. I'm going to turn off the serial port also, just because we're not using it. This is fine. NVMe is fine. Shows the hard drive. That's fine. Shouldn't do anything with SATA. I didn't see resizable bar. Did anybody else see resizable bar? I think I saw it on the easy mode. Yeah, there it is. Turn that on. There we go. So now we're all done. We're going to save settings and exit. It's going to just review what you just changed, which is fine. Just say yes. And now we're going to boot onto that flash drive. That flash drive already has Windows 11 on it, so it should just bring us right up to Windows 11 install. Now, I just changed the memory timings, so this reboot may take a little longer because it's got to do a test. That is normal. If it fails the test, that's not good. Okay, it's fine. Now it's going to boot off that should boot off that flash drive. It may also reboot twice because of the memory test. That is a possibility. Or it's just taking a long time. It's doing a second reboot. Okay. There it goes. Once you see that little circle moving, that means you're on the flash drive. Okay, now it's going to go and boot into Windows, asking you what you want to do. We're going to choose, obviously, language, time, currency, blah, blah, blah. Next. We're We're going to say install now. Since this is a fresh install, there's only going to be one hard drive to install to. So it's not going to be a big deal. Choose your operating system, by the way, Windows 11 Pro. Do not choose the N versions. The N versions is for something else, and it's a whole nother topic. I'm not going to get into it, but you want 11 Pro or 11 Home without the N. So next. Agree to the agreement because you have really no choice. Next. Go to custom. You're going to now choose the hard drive to install to. In this case, there's only one hard drive, so it's really simple. You select that drive, you hit next. If you have a data drive, you should have probably disconnected the data drive before you even started this process, so you don't end up erasing the wrong drive. If you have a partition, again, same thing. You don't want to delete the partition that obviously has your data on it. So don't, just be careful here and select the correct drive. In this case, we only have one. Hit next. It's going to copy, it's going to install. This is normal. This takes a few minutes to go through. And all right, once this goes through, we'll be booted into Windows. At this point, right now, what I'm doing right now is I do not have the Ethernet cable plugged in. And there's a reason why. If you want to create a Microsoft account, plug the Ethernet cable in and you can do that. If you don't want a Microsoft account and you just want a regular Windows, regular Windows local user account, then unplug the Ethernet, keep it unplugged, as well as you may have to set a setting on the installation USB to make sure that it is set to not have a Microsoft account, only go into a local account. That's also could be done through Rufus and some other stuff. We have another video coming out for that, explaining how to create that disk correctly, USB flash drive. I keep saying disk, but it's a USB flash drive. Too old. So creating a flash drive with that is not that difficult. It's pretty simple, but there are some extra steps compared to just doing it through Windows Media Creation Tool. Now it's going to say installing updates. It's going to skip right past that. It's going to ask to reboot. Let's reboot. When it reboots, you want to go back into the BIOS, and you're going to have to set up the boot drive to be the main drive. Or you could unplug the flash drive. That also works, but it's best to actually switch it. So we're going to go to Advanced. We're going to go over to Boot. We're going to change this. It already changed it for us. We got lucky. Sometimes it changes it, sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to disable all the rest so it doesn't go to anything else besides the main Windows Boot Manager, which is, it repeats next to it. It says CT1000P3, whatever. That's the model of the SSD that it has. So it's a 1 terabyte P3P SSD 8, which is actually an NVMe. I don't know why it says SSD. All right, moving over. Let's save. So let me get rid of me off of there so I can see. Save and exit. Yes. And now at this point, you shouldn't require the flash drive, but I have all the drivers on it, so I'm going to need the drivers. So that's why we're booting to the main drive first. So after it reboots, it should go right into Windows. It should go load right up, which it is. It should load a little faster, but it may also say getting device drivers in a second. It'll say getting devices or whatever and do a bunch of stuff there, starting services. When it's going through that, it's going to probably do 2 reboots. It's going to do that, and it's going to reboot again. So that might be normal. Just sit back, relax, wait till you see the Windows login screen. It's not going to be the login screen, I'm sorry. The out-of-box experience is what they call it. So it's a stupid wizard. At this time, what I'm doing is just checking the case and making sure the light works on it, making sure there is an HDD light, it is blinking, which it is, making sure the power light button works, which it is. Other things I test after this is I'm going to be testing the USB ports in the front and the back. So that's another thing that needs to be looked at. This may take a few minutes. This is normal. Just wait it out. It's going to restart again. That's normal. Again, it's picking up all the hardware that's in the system. It's trying to match stuff for certain drivers. So it's going to do that. It's going to check all the devices. This is just a very painstakingly long process, so we just have to wait through it. And once it goes through, you'll also see the resolution change a little bit there. The fonts are changing. That's normal. It's not going to find probably the NVIDIA graphic card fully, so we're going to probably have to load that driver up. But it may load up a decent amount to start with. Okay, this is the welcome to the out-of-box experience from Microsoft. The more annoying thing ever. All right, so it says in this country, what are you going to choose? You're going to choose the United States. You're going to choose, or you choose your country if you're not in the United States. Choose your keyboard layout. We're going to skip a second keyboard because I don't know why anybody would want to skip. Now it's going to say, oh, you don't have internet. And I'm just going to say, I don't have internet. I'm going to lie, but we do, obviously. Continue with limited setup. Yes. And it's going to ask for your name. We're just going to put B1 for now, just because, so we have a user. Put a password for yourself. I recommend you put something like 12 characters long, but that's up to you. We're going to do no password right now, just so we get through this quicker. It's going to say, hi, we're getting things ready, whatever. Just wait patiently. You have no choice. Now, if you have the Ethernet plugged in, it's going to ask you for a Microsoft account. You can create a Microsoft account. It will also do all the Windows updates for you right then and there. I don't recommend this method. I recommend you have a Windows account, like a regular standard Windows account that's just a local user Windows account, so you don't have to worry about the Microsoft account at all. And for safety reasons, that's easier, but you know, it's up to you if you want to do a Microsoft account. Microsoft accounts will also tie to all of your tracking, so it'll turn on a lot more tracking features that you may or may not disagree with, but they don't really tell you about. And you know, that's up to you if you're okay and comfortable with it. But as a system loader, we try to keep it very simple here. You can always turn on a Microsoft account also. This is not something that has to be one way. They can have user accounts and, you know, Microsoft accounts as well. We're almost there, yay, okay. So it's gonna load up. It's gonna look a little weird because it's trying to try to install stuff that requires the internet. So that's why that's coming up that way. We're going to plug in the internet in 2 minutes, but let's first do the drivers. So we're going to go to the flash drive that we have plugged in. I made a folder called B1. We're just going to take this whole B1 folder. We're going to copy it over to the C drive, paste it. Well, that was pretty quick. Okay. And I'm going to start extracting all these. These are the drivers that we downloaded from the website before. And we're just going to install them now. It's going to say it can't test the internet. That's okay. It can't test the program. We already know this is a clean drive. We don't have to worry about it. We grabbed it from the original site. We're just going to load up all the drivers first, then plug the Ethernet in, and then it'll pull up the rest of the Windows updates, correct the time and stuff also. While we're waiting for that, we can also check the date and time. So we can push start and then type date and time. And we can change the time zone because this is definitely in the wrong one. Yep, here it is. So I'm going to change this to Eastern. And it's probably still going to be wrong. Don't worry about that. It is still wrong, of course. Wait for that to go through. Then we'll plug in the Ethernet card, you know, Ethernet adapter. It'll actually reset the time. It'll pick it up saying, hey, there's something wrong with that. It'll resync. While we're waiting, we can extract the next set of installation. We're going to Realtek driver. You just double click it, run it. It's going to say smart screen is off. That's because it can't reach the internet. So if it can reach the internet, it would check it. Again, nothing to worry about. Consumer here, this one, yeah, that's fine. Extract. With Gigabyte, they're usually very easy installation files. You'll see that they're only coming up with one file to install. It's because it's compressed. It will make it easier to install all of this pretty quickly. Next one. The more important drivers to make sure that you get are the Ethernet drivers, which is your LAN driver, your network card basically. and maybe your audio drivers, just because it's easier if you have some sort of audio feedback, knowing if it's connected or not working or something like that. Serial I/O. You could always have to get the LAN driver in. You can always get the rest of the drivers from, the website if you want, or you can get them from Microsoft. The ones that are from Microsoft are not bad, but they're very generic. By generic, meaning that not all the features may work, so you may want to get the one from the manufacturer instead. If you have printers and scanners and stuff like that, do those last, just so that you have everything else set up first. You want to make sure that the hardware is first set up and correct. Okay, so he wants that. No, we don't want to do that. Okay. All right, so that's done. Yes. What we're going to do now, since it's ready to go, we should have a LAN driver working. Yeah, we're missing a few things here, so that might mean that I might need more drivers to download, but we at least have the network driver loaded, so we can make sure we can plug this in at this point and get it going. All right, so this plugs in. Down below, you'll see this world icon change in a second when it picks up that it is internet. There we go. I usually do the date and time first, so date and time. Let's make sure that that gets corrected. Hit sync now. Synced. Time is correct, and it is correct on the dates. Now, what I usually do is I usually wait a few seconds because it's going to start downloading all this garbage. We have a Windows 11 bloatware removal tool. I'm not going to show how to do it again. It's on all previous videos. You can go back to our Windows 11 bloatware removal tool. You can download it yourself and install it, and it will remove all this junk. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do the Windows updates for now. So we're going to click on Settings. We're going to go to Windows Updates. It's going to start checking for updates. Should take a second. At this point, we're done with that flash drive. We can unplug that. Since we already have the drivers over, everything's done, downloaded and installed. It's going to pick up some more drivers. It's going to pick up the NVIDIA display driver. Just let it install this first, but you're going to have to overwrite that installation. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually do that. Let it download and install in the background, but we're going to open up, oh God, Edge. All right, we'll work with Edge. We're going to open up Edge, but we're going to download Chrome at least, because I think that's what the customer wants is Chrome. Let me check the sheet. Yes, it is Chrome. So uncheck this, download Chrome. I'm going to do Chrome instead because I can't stand Edge. Edge does like a lot of weird stuff. I don't really want it messing with everything. Oh, I clicked it twice. Whoops. There we go. That's another reason why I hate Edge. You click it once, it doesn't respond, and then... And of course... Really? Download failed? There we go. All right. Take two. It's installing Chrome. We're going to set that as default. We're also going to download the NVIDIA graphic card driver. Chrome go, yay. Don't sign in. Set as default. And of course, it doesn't change it for everything. And then it complains that you're changing it. This is why I don't like Microsoft some days. It should just change all these over by automatic. When you install Firefox, it does it right. I don't know why Chrome doesn't do this right. It's probably because it's relying on Microsoft. These you don't need. All right, so Chrome is in, yay. We're gonna actually just go to NVIDIA's website, nvidia.com. We're going to go to drivers. We're going to, why did they change this? Didn't they have GeForce on the main page? All right, fine. They have GeForce? No. All right, for our sake, we're just going to download the driver we need. 4060 Ti. You should probably download the actual GeForce Experience. We're not going to do that right now because it also requires a login, which I forgot. So we're not going to do that. We're going to do 4060 Ti. I'm just going to pick the right one. Windows 11. Game ready driver is fine. Search. And then it's going to come up the right one. Download. Download. I like to download the one from NVIDIA because it's usually the better one than Microsoft. If you don't want to do a login and stuff, you can just pick the card that you have and stuff like that. If you're unsure about that, though, you can always download the GeForce Experience instead, which shows up on the download page, which is stupid. But anyway, you could use GeForce Experience. If you get the wrong driver, that's the best way to go, because then it'll pick up the right one for you automatically, but it will require sign-in. They're getting rid of the sign-in on the new version of that. I don't know what the new version's called, I forgot, but the new version from NVIDIA will not require a sign-in. AMD does not require a sign-in, so if you have an AMD graphic card, you won't have to do a sign-in at all. It'll just go. The sign-in is free, by the way, but it's just annoying. You see, it wants the GeForce Experience. All right, just don't do the driver for now. Express is fine. While this is going, we are already doing Windows updates in the background too. So that's all installing. Some of them are downloading, some of them are installing. This is definitely needs to be installed. I don't know why it's not installing these. Click, click. Why do I have to click? Just go. That's another thing about Microsoft. Sometimes they require you to click install. Not sure why when I hit install all before. I don't know. It's a little weird. It's a little wonky. We're almost done. I don't need this. We don't need that. All right, it's actually still downloading this driver in the background, but we're already putting the new one in, so it may not even do this. It may fail. That's okay because I'm installing the newest one. It may also blink, which it just did right now. Blink to black. That's okay. It is finished. It's installed. We're still downloading and installing on top. That's okay. I'll let that go. Just be very patient. It does take a little while to install. Once everything's installed, you want to reboot a few times. If you have a Windows key, you should probably activate the Windows. If you don't activate Windows, it's going to say like activation required down here in the corner. Right now it doesn't say that because obviously it gives you a little bit of grace period. But what you really should do is you should go back to System, and then you should go to Activate. I'm not going to do this right now because obviously I don't want to show a key on screen, but you really should do that. You should also rename your PC. It comes up with the default rename. It comes up with like some random name. Just rename it to whatever you want to call it. Keep it simple if you want to use networking. You know, if you don't want to use networking, then you can call it whatever you want. Go to Windows Update again. It's still installing. I also like to change the power management settings while we're here. So we're going to go to Edit Power Settings. Power plan. I'm going to go back to power options. We're going to change this to high performance, so we'll make it go a little bit faster. We don't have to turn off the hard disk because it's an NVMe drive. There's no need to do that. Power saving on wireless, maximum performance, yes. Sleep after, never. All the sleep options you should probably turn off if you don't need them. I like to turn off USB select setting off, PCI Express. Everything else seems to be okay. Just check it. Display, I also like to change to like 35 minutes. Just because most of the machines that we use are office machines, and if it keeps cutting off the screen after 20 minutes, it's kind of annoying. So let it keep it at 35. Seems to be comfortable for most people. Again, something that anybody can change with no problem. It didn't install this one. Again, got to keep clicking install. Get them all into install. Obviously, the display one is not going to go, so that's okay. But let's install everything else and then do a reboot. And then we're pretty much done with the stream at this point. You know, all the rest of the settings, like privacy settings, you can set these any which way you want. We have another video on how to set all this any which way you want to go. I recommend that you set it more secure than what's already here, but you can certainly set them any which way you want. You don't have to put them high. I usually like to set them a little higher than what Microsoft offers. So, all right, this is still going. Let's go back to this. So this is basically how to install Windows, getting everything built for the system. We will have some newer videos coming out with how to like set up Windows more advanced with creating a better flash drive. So the flash drive that we have right now, this is a simple install. It asks you a simple question about what Windows version you want and stuff like that. There are more advanced ones that you can do, which we do for customers as well as for ourselves sometimes, where it'll do a lot more settings for you in advance. It'll do all the privacy settings for you. It'll do a lot of other stuff. You can set that all up on the flash drive so that when you load Windows, it'll automatically load those settings for you. That will be coming up in another video. That's not right now, but when we do put that video out, it will make it a little bit easier. It's a little harder to set up when you first initially do it, but if you're, let's say you're an IT admin at, you know, a school, you're gonna wanna use that video because that video is gonna basically explain how to do like 50 systems really quickly. Because if you have one flash drive that sets up one way, you don't have to keep resetting all these settings and making a whole mess out of each time you load up one system. Drivers and everything else, there are ways to also preload drivers into that USB flash drive. That's also going to be covered in that video. So that will make it a little bit easier for a person that wants to just make a quick recovery flash drive for, let's say, a customer or for themselves. They just don't want to go and download everything every time. It'll automatically pre-install the drivers for you. It won't pre-install the newest driver though. So it'll only pre-install whatever is on the flash drive. That's the only negative point. But if you're doing like 50 systems or something, this might be easier than doing this the hard way, which I'm doing right now. All right, that's installing, gonna reboot, and then we'll be all good to go. I'm not going to record the rest of the reinstall. It's obviously just a reboot. It's nothing really fancy. All the rest of it, just basically we do the customer side after this, so we have to customize it and stuff like that off stream, including the activation of the Windows and all the software and all that stuff they need. So till next time, I'm going to end the stream. Hopefully we'll have another build coming up in a few weeks, but we'll also have a lot more videos coming out. So if you also have any suggestions for videos, please leave them in the comments. I do read the comments. Some of the comments get missed, unfortunately, from the way that YouTube updates me. So if I do miss something, I apologize. Just probably, you know, push it up to the top or maybe make another comment on the video and it'll probably show up again in my notifications area. Or you could try our social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. So we do check those once in a while. And that's it. We'll see you at the next stream. Thanks and have a great day.